thanks for the opportunity to speak today. It's great to be here. I was really interested in the conversations that happened in the breakout rooms. In the one that I was in, we talked about things like not feeling rushed and having the choice to think about the activities that you were doing. I hope that in your discussion, those types of themes came up. Maybe talking about having clarity on what you're actually spending your time on and having the space to actually plan and organising. What's interesting is that those things aren't really about working less. They're just about working better and about your business supporting you, not constantly pulling at you. So when I say that CAM is commercial, I'm not talking about slowing down for the sake of it. I'm talking about designing your business so that CAM becomes part of how you operate. I've just come back from a 6-week holiday in Patagonia. That picture is the Mount Fitzroy in the Fitzroy Range, or the Fitzroy Massif, as it's romantically known. It was absolutely stunning, and I spent most of my time outdoors in the mountains and just switching off. But interestingly, my business didn't stop. I posted a little bit while I was there. A couple of inquiries came in. Now I'm coming back to actually follow those up. And I did it all without my laptop. Actually, I did it without Wi-Fi most of the time, to be perfectly honest with you. But that would not have been possible a few years ago, because back then, the way that my business was set up meant that I always felt like I had to be on. And even when things were going well, it felt quite pressurised. What I've realised since then is that CAM isn't something that just happens when things go quiet. It's actually something that you design into your work, into your business. And when you do that, it actually changes the kind of work and the opportunities that come your way. So I'm going to use mostly photographs here because I love taking pictures and I love boring everybody to death showing them. So I'm going to show you pictures, and hopefully what I say will be interesting. Originally, my business was focused on selling tea. I did it online, and in many ways it was working really well. I had customers, I had orders coming in. I was launching new teas. I was hosting tea tastings online. I was curating tea and accessory gifts. I was expanding into chocolate. I gained orders to sell in shops. I was building and maintaining my website. I was growing repeat business. I was posting daily on 3 different social media channels. And of course, I was joining online networking events like No Ties, because it was 2020, 2021, 2022, and all of that was fine. Remember, back then, we were looking for things to do because we couldn't go anywhere. We all needed lots of things to keep us busy. And so doing all of that was absolutely fine, but it was constant. There was always something that needed doing. And the biggest thing for me is that I love traveling, and so does Grant. By now, it was 2023, the world had reopened, travel was back, and I wanted to be able to step away from the business and get on that plane. But the way that things were set up meant that the business and my lifestyle weren't really aligned. If I went away, everything paused, or it became stressful in the run-up to going away, trying to get things organised and trying to keep things moving while I was away. So even though it looked like it was working, it felt actually quite heavy to run, and it didn't really allow me to have the kind of life that I wanted. I remember the exact moment that I realised that something needed to change. I was on holiday. It was May 2023. I was on a Greek island called Aegina. It's about an hour from Athens. It was my first overseas trip since COVID. I was so excited to be travelling again. We'd walked over to the other side of the island for a bit of exercise. We were sitting having an ice cream, just chilling out. My phone beeped and an order had come in, and my heart sank. I looked at it. It was for a glass teapot and a collection of teas. It was one of the most expensive orders I'd ever had. It was a birthday gift. It was for somebody that I didn't know. And all I felt in that moment was anxiety. I still had a week of my holiday left. And my immediate thought was, I'm going to let them down. I'm not going to be able to deliver this. I can't get it to them. This is a disaster. I was in this beautiful place. I was doing exactly what I wanted to do for years, travel. And instead of enjoying it, I was thinking about packaging, delivery, and logistics. I did message them. I thanked them for their order. I asked them when they needed it. And it turned out that I had time because they were super organised and I could deal with it when I get back. But that wasn't the point. That's not how I should feel when an order comes in. I used to do that little happy dance because the phone would ping. It was that little till sound. And I would be like, yay, there's an order. And I just didn't feel like it that day. And in that moment, sitting there on holiday, I realised that something had shifted and something needed to change. And so that's when I really started to question the way that my business was set up because nothing had gone wrong. The order was fine, but the experience of receiving that order and running the business just didn't feel right anymore. So I started to rethink the model. Where could I shift my activities from something that was constant to something that was, well, just a bit more organised, that would fit my life better? Where was the market opportunity? Post-COVID, people wanted to get out and about. They wanted to do things with people, experience something deeper and a bit of connection. So I decided that instead of focusing on selling tea, I would shift towards tea tasting experiences. Occasions that would allow for connection and community, create a calm moment, allow for the sharing of time together with current or new friends, and it didn't need loud venues or alcohol. And making that switch, what changed for me was really quite a simple thing, but it was actually very powerful. Everything became planned. Events were booked in advance. They were arranged around my diary. And instead of the business being constant and reactive, it became something that I could design with far more intention. And then something else happened. Creating that space didn't slow things down. It actually opened things up. I started working with partners, people like Veterans Tribe Scotland, Pico Tea, collaborating with, many of you all know Jenny Thompson of Courses for Cooks. For example, working with Pico Tea, that came from having space to have a proper conversation with John about what we both needed and what we could explore and create together. John was my supplier right from day one, and actually a bit of a mentor as well, certainly a business friend. He doesn't have time to do tea tastings. He's got a beautiful tea business, a beautiful tea studio. He's a very busy man. He's got a young family. He's running a very successful business. It actually has some illnesses as well to add all of that in. I love doing tea tastings, but I don't have a venue to do them in. So working together with John for me to deliver tea tastings in his studio that his clients can and customers can come along to is a win-win for both of us. And as an aside, we're actually role modeling working together in the tea industry because would you believe that's actually quite an unusual thing that happens? It's actually very competitive. More recently, I've had opportunities to work with the travel trade and to develop some relationships with destination management companies. So now I can showcase tea to visitors that are coming to Edinburgh and to Scotland. and tell stories about Scotland's relationship and adventures in the world of tea. None of that came from doing more. It came from having the space and the clarity to notice, to explore, and to say yes to the right things. And I think that's the bit that's really relevant for us all as business owners. The way your business is designed, your diary, your delivery model, your boundaries, they have a direct impact on the kind of work and opportunities that you attract. If everything feels rushed, reactive, somebody else's agenda, very full, it's really hard to step back and make good decisions. But when there's space, you can think more clearly, you can show up a bit differently, and you can start to build something that's much more intentional. So there are 3 things that I want you to think about. What kind of life do you want your business to support? Where is your current business model misaligned with that? And is there one small change that you could make that would create a bit more space for you? For me, the biggest shift wasn't working less, it was just working differently. It was moving from something that felt reactive and pressurized to something that felt intentional and aligned. What I found is that when your business fits your life, you show up differently, you make better decisions, and you see and notice better opportunities. So calm isn't just a nice idea, it's something that you can design. And when you do, it becomes a really powerful commercial advantage. So thank you for your time today. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you. If you host podcasts, if you run events, if you are interested in other collaborations, I'd love to share this story with other people. So if our working together can help your audience in some way, then those are my contact details. It would be great to chat. That's me. Thank you.